Think about the small ceremony of going to bed tonight. The room is probably already waiting for you. A mattress made in a factory. A pillow chosen for your neck. Sheets washed by a machine. A blanket with a known weight. A door that closes. A window that seals. A thermostat, a fan, a radiator, or an air conditioner quietly arguing with the weather on your behalf. Light at the touch of a switch. Darkness at the touch of another. A phone beside you, glowing with the time, the alarm, the weather, the messages, the world. Modern sleep is full of hidden servants. Electricity serves it. Plumbing serves it. Textiles serve it. Glass serves it. Medicine serves it. Locks serve it. Clocks serve it. Even silence is often manufactured for it. Walls are insulated. Windows are double glazed. Streets are regulated. Neighbors are expected to become quiet after a certain hour. Hotels sell sleep as if it were a product. Mattress companies promise a better self by morning. And because all of this is normal, we forget how strange it is. For much of human history, sleep was not a private little island. It was a negotiation. With cold. With heat. With smoke. With insects. With darkness. With animals. With strangers. With servants. With family. With work. With fear. With religion. With the fragile body of the house itself. Before modern comfort, sleep was not simply the moment when the day ended. It was one of the hardest parts of daily life to arrange well. So tonight, let's look at how people slept before modern comfort. Not as a fairy tale about everyone peacefully dozing under candlelight. And not as a misery tale about everyone suffering every night. The truth is more interesting. People slept in halls, lofts, truckle beds, curtain beds, straw beds, inns, monasteries, ships, farmhouses, castles, roadside shelters, workshops, and crowded rooms. Some slept better than we imagine. Some slept worse than we would tolerate for one night. Some had soft bedding, warm curtains, servants, fires, and guarded doors. Some had straw, a cloak, a shared bench, a rough blanket, and the hope that morning would come without trouble. The past did not have one bed. It had many arrangements. And every arrangement tells us the same quiet thing. Sleep is not only biology. Sleep is technology. The first comfort was not the bed. It was the place. A modern bedroom has a job. It is supposed to hold sleep. That sounds obvious, but it is not historically obvious at all. Many people in the past did not live in houses where every person had a dedicated room for sleeping. Space was expensive. Heating was limited. Furniture was valuable. Privacy was not distributed evenly. The room where people slept might also be the room where they ate, worked, stored tools, received visitors, dried clothes, kept animals nearby, watched the fire, or guarded goods. The idea that sleep deserves its own private chamber is one of the great quiet luxuries of modern domestic life. In many medieval houses, especially humbler ones, the main living space did many jobs at once. A hall could be a dining room, workroom, social room, sleeping room, and shelter. In wealthier houses, status created separation. The lord and family might withdraw to more private chambers. Servants might sleep in the hall, near the work, near the floor, near the noise. This was not simply inconvenience. It was architecture explaining society. Who gets privacy? Who stays close to the fire? Who sleeps near the door? Who can leave the room? Who must wake first? Modern bedrooms hide those questions. They are still there, of course. Children share rooms. Workers sleep in dormitories. Travelers sleep in hostels. Families squeeze into apartments. But the modern dream is clear. Everyone gets a room. Everyone gets a bed. Everyone gets a door. Before modern comfort, a sleeping place was usually a compromise between warmth, safety, status, labor, and available space. Imagine a winter night in a modest medieval household. The main fire has burned low. The room smells of smoke, wool, old rushes, damp shoes, and food. The day's tools are not far away because there is nowhere else for them to go. A child shifts under a blanket. Someone coughs. Someone turns in the dark and wakes another person without meaning to. The house is not a quiet machine built around individual rest. It is a shared container. Sleep happens inside it because sleep must happen somewhere. That is the first difference. Modern comfort gives sleep a room. The old world often gave sleep a corner. The second comfort was getting off the ground. A bed seems simple. It holds the body above the floor. But that small lift is a revolution. The ground is cold. The ground is damp. The ground carries dirt, insects, drafts, animals, and the hard memory of every foot that crossed it. To sleep above the ground is to make a small claim against the earth. In many periods and places, bedding could be as simple as straw, rushes, hay, a mat, a pallet, a sack filled with plant material, or a cloak folded under the body. The word mattress can make this sound more comfortable than it was. A straw mattress is only as good as the straw, the cover, the dryness, the maintenance, and the ability to replace it. It can flatten. It can smell. It can hide insects. It can absorb damp. It can rustle under the body. But compared with bare floor, it is comfort. The old bed was not only softness. It was distance. Distance from cold stone. Distance from packed earth. Distance from fleas and floor covering. Distance from damp. Distance from the path of feet. A raised wooden bedstead took that distance farther. It used carpentry to say, "This body is worth lifting." That is why beds could become valuable household goods. They were not disposable frames hidden under online mattresses. They could be part of inheritance, status, display, and domestic pride. In wealthier households, a bed might have curtains, hangings, ropes, boards, textiles, and layers that made it one of the most important objects in the room. In poorer households, a simple pallet could still mean the difference between rest and misery. Imagine lying on straw after a day of field labor. Your body is tired enough to accept almost anything. But the straw is not neutral. It pokes. It shifts. It keeps the shape of your movement. If it is fresh, it smells dry and grassy. If it is old, it carries the room with it. You learn how to arrange your hip, your shoulder, your knees. You learn where the lump is. You learn how to make a bed that would make a modern hotel guest complain within 3 minutes. And still, in that world, it may be perfectly ordinary comfort. Modern sleep has made softness invisible. We expect the surface under us to be engineered. Foam, springs, cotton, latex, wool, microfiber, memory layers, washable covers, bed frames designed to arrive in a box. Before modern comfort, the question was simpler. Can the body get away from the floor? The third comfort was the curtain. A bed curtain sounds decorative now. Something in a period drama. A pretty canopy. A romantic frame around a bed. But before modern heating, insulation, and private bedrooms, curtains were serious technology. They trapped warmth. They blocked drafts. They created privacy in a shared room. They softened noise. They hid the sleeper. They made a little chamber inside a larger chamber. In a world where rooms were multifunctional and bodies were often near other bodies, the bed curtain was a wall made of cloth. That matters. Modern people build privacy from drywall and doors. Older households often built it from textiles. A hanging, a screen, a curtain, a blanket, a canopy, a cloth partition. Textiles were architecture you could move, wash, fold, mend, inherit, and show off. The richer the textile, the richer the room felt. This is one reason beds could be visual statements. They were not only where people slept. They were where people displayed wealth, taste, family identity, and access to fabric. Think about the comfort of a closed bed on a cold night. Outside the curtains, the room holds drafts and darkness. Inside, breath warms the small space. The cloth dims the movements of others. The bed becomes almost tent-like. A private climate. A soft boundary. A little weather system built around one body or several. Modern comfort has replaced this with sealed rooms and controlled air. But the instinct survives. Weighted blankets. Blackout curtains. Privacy curtains in hospital wards. Bed tents for children. Curtained bunks. Hotel drapes. Sleeping pods. Even pulling the blanket over your head is a tiny version of the same old technology. The body wants a boundary before it relaxes. Before modern comfort, cloth often supplied the boundary that architecture did not. The fourth comfort was warmth, and warmth was never simple. Today, if a bedroom is cold, many people adjust a thermostat. That is such a quiet miracle that it is hard to describe. The modern sleeper can change the air without touching fire. No chopping. No hauling. No smoke. No ash. No sparks. No fear that the heat source will become disaster. Before modern heating, warmth had to be made in visible ways. Open hearths, fireplaces, braziers, heated stones, warmed cloth, shared body heat, animals nearby, thick bedding, bed curtains, nightcaps, and the simple discipline of going where the heat was. In many older houses, the fire was central to the household's life. Before chimneys became common in many domestic buildings, smoke from an open hearth could rise into the room and escape through roof openings, gaps, or later smoke bays and flues. That means warmth and smoke were often tied together. You might want the fire, but not the air that came with it. You might want heat, but fear sparks. You might want the room warmer, but fuel costs money and labor. The poor do not simply decide to be warm. They calculate warmth. How much fuel is left? Who needs it most? Will the fire last until morning? Is it safer to let it die? Can embers be preserved? Can the bed be warmed before sleeping? A bed warming pan, in later periods, answered one part of this problem. Hot coals could be placed in a covered pan and moved carefully through the bed to warm the sheets before the body entered. It sounds cozy until you remember the risk. Fire near bedding is a negotiation with danger. Done carefully, it turns cold sheets into relief. Done badly, it becomes smoke, scorching, or worse. Imagine a cold bed in a room without central heating. The sheets are not merely cool. They feel almost wet with cold. The first contact steals heat from your legs. Your feet curl. Your shoulders tighten. You cannot relax because your body is busy defending itself. Then imagine that bed gently warmed before you enter. Not hot. Just no longer hostile. That is the old comfort. Not perfection. Relief. Modern sleep has made warmth continuous. Before modern comfort, warmth came in moments. The fifth comfort was darkness you could control. Modern people are surrounded by too much light. Street lights enter the window. Phones glow. Chargers blink. Screens linger in the eyes. But we also have an astonishing power. We can create light whenever we want and remove it almost whenever we want. Before cheap, safe, abundant lighting, night was a larger force. Candles, rushlights, oil lamps, hearth glow, moonlight, and torches made small islands inside darkness. Light cost something. Better candles cost more. Tallow candles could smell. Rushlights were cheaper but brief and fragile. Oil lamps needed fuel. Any open flame needed attention. The old sleeper did not live in a world where bedtime meant scrolling under a cool electric lamp. Light was material. It had odor, smoke, drip, danger, and price. This shaped sleep. People arranged work around daylight. They saved artificial light for tasks that justified it. They moved more carefully after dark. They knew the difference between a full moon and a moonless night in a way many modern people do not. They also knew that darkness was not simply empty. darkness changed the household. It made small sounds larger. It made fear more convincing. It made prayers feel necessary. It made dreams more memorable. It made a door or shutter matter. Modern comfort has made darkness optional in many places. That is new. Before modern comfort, darkness was a schedule. It told the body when work became difficult. It told travelers when roads became risky. It told households when to gather near fire. It told servants, guards, nurses, monks, thieves, bakers, and mothers that night was not the same for everyone. Imagine a rushlight burning near a bed. It is not bright enough to defeat the room. It only persuades the nearest darkness to step back. The corners remain uncertain. Faces become partial. The flame leans when air moves. The bed, the wall, the cup, the bench, the shoes become temporary shapes. Modern sleep often begins after we command the room. The old sleep began after the room had made its terms. The sixth comfort was being protected from the air. Modern bedrooms are sealed in layers. Glass windows. Weather stripping. Insulation. Dry walls. Roof membranes. Screens. Ventilation systems. Air purifiers. Humidifiers. Dehumidifiers. Before modern comfort, the air inside a room belonged much more to the outside. Wind found cracks. Cold came under doors. Damp climbed through walls and floors. Smoke moved where it wanted. Insects entered. Smells traveled. The idea of clean indoor air, held at a steady temperature, is modern in its everyday reach. Older sleepers fought air with shutters, hangings, packed materials, fires, roof work, thick walls, bed curtains, clothing, and sleeping close to others. They did not always win. A draft is a small thing until you try to sleep inside it. It finds the neck. It reaches the ankle. It moves under the blanket. It keeps the body alert. The body cannot fully surrender if the air keeps touching it like a warning. This is why nightclothes mattered. Caps, shifts, shirts, stockings, wraps, cloaks, and extra layers were not only modesty. They were climate control. The old nightcap is almost comic now. We see it in cartoons and Christmas stories. But a covered head in an unheated room is practical intelligence. The body loses comfort through exposed skin. Hair, ears, neck, and scalp become part of the heating problem. Modern people buy special sleepwear for softness, style, cooling, sweating, pregnancy, travel, or personal preference. Older people often dressed for bed because the room was not trustworthy. Before modern comfort, the sleeper wore part of the house. The seventh comfort was the locked door, or at least the guarded threshold. Sleep is vulnerable. This is so obvious that modern comfort tries to make us forget it. You close a door. You turn a lock. You trust the building entrance. You trust the neighborhood. You trust glass to remain glass. You trust that police, neighbors, alarms, cameras, and social rules exist somewhere beyond the room. Then you become unconscious. Older sleep had to face vulnerability more directly. Doors, bars, shutters, dogs, servants, household members, gates, watchmen, and sleeping near others could all be part of security. Privacy and safety were often in tension. Sleeping alone may feel luxurious now. In another world, sleeping alone could feel exposed. A crowded household was noisy, but it was also a warning system. Someone hears. Someone wakes. Someone is near the door. Someone knows if a stranger enters. That is one reason shared sleeping should not be imagined only as lack. It could be uncomfortable, but it could also be protective. The modern bedroom says safety through separation. The older household often found safety through closeness. Imagine an in-room where travelers share space. Your possessions are close to your body. Your money is hidden. Your boots are not too far away. You hear breathing that does not belong to your family. You learn to sleep with a little part of yourself awake. That kind of sleep is not restful in the modern sense. But it is historically normal. Sleep was not always a deep private surrender. Sometimes it was a truce with risk. Before modern comfort, to sleep safely meant that someone or something else had to keep watch. The eighth comfort was clean bedding, or at least bedding that could be managed. Modern sheets are part of the invisible machinery of sleep. They can be washed often. They can be dried quickly. They can be changed without rebuilding the bed. They can be bought in standard sizes. They smell like detergent, cotton, linen, sunlight, or nothing at all. Before modern laundry, clean bedding was labor. Water had to be carried. Cloth had to be scrubbed, soaked, beaten, boiled when possible, rinsed, wrung, dried, aired, and stored. Large textiles were heavy when wet. Drying depended on weather, space, and time. A bed was not a hygienic object simply because people wished it to be. It had to be maintained. Straw might need changing. Mattress covers might need airing. Blankets might hold smell. Furs, wool, linen, and feathers all had their own problems. The richer household could own more layers and pay more labor to care for them. The poorer household made do with fewer options. This is one of the most important BMC differences. Modern comfort often comes from replaceability. If a pillow is bad, buy another. If sheets wear out, order more. If a mattress sags, complain, return it, finance a new one. Before modern comfort, bedding was not casual. It was material wealth. It was stored value. It was work. It was sometimes listed, inherited, pawned, prized, and protected. Imagine airing bedding after a damp week. The cloth is carried outside or near moving air. Hands shake it. Dust rises. Sunlight, if available, becomes a cleaning tool. The bed is not just a place where sleep happens. It is a project that must be kept from becoming hostile. Modern sleep begins with a made bed. Old sleep often began with the labor of making the bed possible. The ninth comfort was fighting insects. This is one of the least romantic parts of historical sleep. Beds attract life. Warmth, cloth, straw, skin, animals, crumbs, darkness, and long use can invite fleas, lice, bedbugs, mites, and other small enemies. Modern people still know bedbugs, but most of us experience them as an emergency, not as an expected feature of the world. Before modern pest control, insects were part of domestic management. People cleaned, aired, changed straw, used herbs, smoked spaces, shook bedding, washed cloth, kept animals away when possible, and complained. They also endured. There is a particular misery in trying to sleep while being bitten. The body becomes suspicious of every touch. A thread feels like a leg. A wrinkle feels alive. The mind cannot settle. The darkness grows teeth. This is where modern comfort becomes almost miraculous. The expectation that a bed contains no visible life except the sleeper is historically luxurious. It depends on building materials, cleaning routines, laundry, pest control, sealed rooms, commercial bedding, health knowledge, and sometimes luck. The old sleeper did not always have that expectation. Even wealthy beds could have problems if neglected. Rich textiles do not magically repel insects. They can simply hide them in more expensive places. Imagine waking and knowing that the problem is in the bed itself. Not the room. Not the weather. The bed. The thing meant to comfort you has become a small battlefield. No modern mattress advertisement likes to mention this, but one of the greatest achievements of modern sleep is not softness. It is trust. Trust that the bed is only a bed. Before modern comfort, that trust had to be earned repeatedly. The 10th comfort was silence, and silence was rare. A modern bedroom can be noisy. Traffic. Neighbors. Elevators. Phones. Air conditioners. Refrigerators. Dogs. But there is still an expectation that sleep deserves quiet. Noise complaints, hotel reviews, building rules, white noise machines, earplugs, soundproof windows, carpeted hallways, quiet hours. These are modern ways of defending sleep from other people's lives. Older households often had less acoustic separation. Thin partitions, shared rooms, animals, servants, children, fires, wind, creaking timber, street sounds, bells, carts, watch calls, nearby work, and human breathing all entered the night. Silence was not guaranteed. It was local, temporary, and often tied to status. The rich could retreat farther. The poor often slept closer to noise because they lived closer to work, streets, animals, and other people. This does not mean every night was unbearable. People adapt to sound. The miller's family hears the mill differently than a visitor. The city resident learns which sounds are normal. The shepherd hears the flock. The mother hears the child. The servant hears the bell. The old sleeper listens selectively because the night contained information. Modern comfort tries to remove information from sleep. No need to know the wind. No need to hear the street. No need to track animals. No need to listen for the fire. No need to know whether a traveler has entered the yard. But before modern comfort, a household survived partly by listening. Imagine trying to sleep near a banked fire. The crackle changes. A log settles. The wind presses against shutters. Someone turns. A child murmurs. Outside, a cart passes late, or a dog barks, or a watchman calls. The sounds are not entertainment. They are the house speaking in the dark. Sleep happens inside that speech. The 11th comfort was a reliable alarm. Modern people complain about alarms because alarms interrupt sleep. But an alarm is also a comfort. It means you can stop watching the time. You can surrender to sleep because a device has agreed to wake you. Before mechanical clocks became common in domestic life, waking depended on many things: light, roosters, bells, household routine, servants, work demands, monastic offices, market hours, the body, the person sleeping beside you, the fire, the animal, the weather. Time was not absent, but it was heard and seen differently. Church bells and monastic rhythms could shape communities. In religious houses, night prayer made sleep deliberately interruptible. The night was not simply a block of private rest. It could be divided by devotion and duty. For workers, waking early might be necessary because daylight was valuable. For bakers, night work could begin while others slept. For watchmen, night itself was the shift. For servants, another person's comfort might decide their waking hour. Modern sleep wants autonomy. My bedtime. My alarm. My room. My schedule. Old sleep often belonged to a household, a community, a season, or a superior. Imagine waking not because your phone sings, but because a bell cuts through darkness. The sound comes from outside the body. It belongs to everyone within hearing. It does not care about your dream. It tells the village, the monastery, the town, or the household that time has moved. This is both comfort and control. You are not alone with time. But time is also not yours. Before modern comfort, waking was often a social event. The 12th comfort was not needing to share the bed. Modern people often imagine bed sharing as romantic, parental, or temporary. A couple. A child after a nightmare. A cramped hotel. A dormitory. But in many older contexts, sharing a sleeping surface or sleeping room could be ordinary. Family members, servants, apprentices, travelers, siblings, workers, and strangers might sleep close depending on status, poverty, season, and circumstance. The modern single bed for one person, or the private bed for a chosen couple, rests on wealth, space, furniture production, heating, and privacy norms. Before modern comfort, bodies were resources. Bodies generated warmth. Bodies provided protection. Bodies made supervision possible. Bodies also created discomfort. They smelled. They moved. They took space. They carried illness. They made noise. They crossed boundaries that modern people guard more carefully. So shared sleep could be both practical and exhausting. Imagine an in-bed shared by travelers who would never choose one another in daylight. The bed is not a symbol of intimacy. It is rented horizontal space. You keep your purse close. You turn carefully. You judge whether the person beside you is dangerous, drunk, sick, or merely tired. The modern hotel room sells the opposite comfort. This bed is yours. This key is yours. This bathroom is yours. This towel is yours. The older and might offer a more limited promise. There is shelter. There is a place to lie down. There may be warmth. There may be food. There may be company you did not request. Before modern comfort, sleep was often social by necessity. The 13th comfort was managing modesty at night. Modern sleepwear is personal. Pajamas, t-shirts, underwear, nightgowns, thermal layers, nothing at all. The private bedroom allows personal habits to disappear behind a door. Older sleeping arrangements often made the body more public. If many people shared a room, changing clothes, nursing children, using chamber pots, washing, illness, and nighttime movement all required social rules. Modesty was not simply prudishness. It was practical order in crowded space. Clothing for bed helped regulate temperature, but it also helped regulate exposure. A shift or shirt could be nightwear, underwear, and washable barrier between body and bedding. Head coverings could keep warmth and preserve a sense of decency. Curtains and screens could create partial privacy where walls did not. The old household had to answer questions modern architecture answers silently. Where does one body end socially and another begin? Who may see whom? Who wakes to use the pot? Where is the pot kept? Who empties it? Who changes bedding after illness or childbirth? Who is allowed to sleep near whom? Modern comfort hides these questions in plumbing, closets, private bathrooms, laundry rooms, and individual bedrooms. Before modern comfort, they had to be handled by habit. Imagine a shared room at night. Someone needs to rise. A board creaks. A garment is pulled close. A candle is not lit because light costs money and wakes others. Movement is done by memory. The body knows the route through darkness. The household has rules that may never be spoken because everyone has learned them by discomfort. This is the kind of history that does not always appear in Battles and Kings. But it shaped daily life more intimately than most laws. Sleep required etiquette. The 14th comfort was the chamber pot. It is not glamorous. It is not poetic. But it is central to sleep before indoor plumbing. Modern plumbing lets the sleeper leave waste in a room designed for waste, flush it away, wash hands under running water, and return to bed without carrying the result anywhere. Before modern plumbing, nighttime needs had to be managed with vessels, privies, yards, streets, servants, routines, and smell. A chamber pot near the bed was a comfort because the alternative could be worse. Going outside in cold, rain, darkness, or danger. Crossing a yard. Finding a latrine. Waking others. Risking a fall. Meeting strangers. Holding the body until morning. The pot solved the immediate problem and created another problem for later. Someone had to empty it. Someone had to clean it. Someone had to tolerate where it sat. This is one of the purest examples of pre-modern comfort. It does not eliminate unpleasantness. It postpones it. Modern comfort often removes a problem from sight so completely that we confuse removal with disappearance. The chamber pot reminds us that older comfort often moved discomfort from one moment to another. Tonight I do not go outside. Tomorrow someone carries this away. Imagine the sound of a pot being moved in darkness. Quiet. Careful. Embarrassing if mishandled. The room is not only a place of dreams. It is a place where the body insists on being practical. Before modern comfort, sleep and waste were closer neighbors. The 15th comfort was the door between humans and animals. Modern bedrooms rarely share air with livestock. Pets, perhaps. A dog at the foot of the bed. A cat on the blanket. But not goats, cows, sheep, pigs, horses, or chickens as part of the ordinary sleeping arrangement. In many rural worlds, human and animal shelter could be closely connected. Animals were wealth, labor, heat, risk, smell, noise, and obligation. Some house forms placed animals and people under the same roof or very near one another, especially in colder or poorer contexts. This should not be imagined as universal, but it was common enough in many traditional settings to matter. Animals changed sleep. They breathed. They shifted. They smelled. They attracted insects. They needed attention. They made noise if disturbed. They could also warm a building, warn of movement, and represent survival. Modern comfort separates categories. Bedroom here. Barn there. Kitchen here. Bathroom there. Pets by preference. Livestock by zoning. The old world was often less neatly divided. The same building might hold bodies with very different jobs. Imagine a winter farmhouse where animals are close enough to hear. Their warmth is not romantic. It is heavy and alive. Their smell sits in the air. Their value sits in the mind. A strange sound at night might wake the household because an animal in trouble is money, food, transport, wool, milk, or work in danger. To sleep beside such concern is different from sleeping beside a silent charging phone. Before modern comfort, the household was not only human. The 16th comfort was escaping smoke. Smoke is one of the great forgotten features of old sleep. We imagine fire as warmth and light. We picture amber glow on old beams. We forget the eyes, the throat, the smell and cloth, the soot, the cough, the way smoke moves when the room does not breathe well. In many medieval dwellings before widespread chimneys, an open hearth could be in the central space, and smoke escaped through openings, louvres, or the roof structure. Later chimneys improved this, but unevenly and over time. A chimney is not a decorative vertical shape. It is a sleep technology. It moves smoke away from lungs. It makes heat more local. It allows more rooms to be heated. It changes how houses can be divided. It changes where people can sleep. Modern people who camp near a smoky fire understand a tiny part of the old problem. Smoke follows shifts in air. It finds fabric. It makes hair and bedding carry yesterday. It can be tolerable because people adapt, but adaptation is not the same as comfort. Imagine lying down after a day in a smoky room. Your clothes know the fire. Your blanket knows the fire. The rafters know the fire. The house has a ceiling of darkness and soot. Warmth and irritation come from the same source. This is why modern heating is so profound. It separates warmth from flame. It separates temperature from smoke. It lets you sleep in heat without guarding embers. Before modern comfort, heat often arrived carrying its own enemy. The 17th comfort was winter bedding. In a centrally heated apartment, bedding is preference. Some people like a duvet. Some like layers. Some sleep hot. Some sleep cold. But the room is usually doing much of the work. Before modern heating, bedding had to fight the season directly. Wool blankets, furs, coverlets, quilts in later contexts, linen, straw, featherbeds for those who could afford them, curtains, caps, socks, shared warmth, and the old skill of arranging layers all mattered. Winter sleep was not just going to bed. It was building a nest. The bed had to hold heat long enough for the body to stop shivering. The cold came from below, above, sides, walls, cracks, and the air itself. People learned small strategies. Warm the bed if possible. Keep the head covered. Sleep close. Keep clothes within reach. Do not let the blanket slip. Place the bed away from the worst draft if space allows. Use curtains if you have them. Bank the fire. Do not waste the fuel. Modern comfort has made temperature into a setting. Older comfort made it into a choreography. Imagine climbing into a winter bed with cold feet. The first minutes are not sleep. They are negotiation. The body curls. The breath shortens. The hands tuck under arms. The blanket slowly becomes warmer because you have paid it with body heat. Only then does sleep become possible. This is a different relationship to bedding. The blanket is not decorative. It is a temporary wall against the season. Before modern comfort, winter did not stop at the door. It came to bed. The 18th comfort was summer air. Cold is not the only enemy of sleep. Heat can be just as cruel. Modern cooling is astonishingly recent in ordinary domestic life. Fans, screened windows, air conditioning, breathable fabrics, refrigeration, cold drinks, showers, and weather forecasts all help modern sleepers manage heat. Before those comforts, a hot night could be endured more than solved. People opened shutters if safety allowed. They slept in lighter clothing. They moved to cooler parts of the house. They used courtyards, thresholds, upper rooms, lower rooms, or outdoor sleeping in some climates and circumstances. They adjusted work and rest around seasonal heat. They listened for insects. They balanced air against security. Opening a window or shutter might cool the room, but it could also invite noise, pests, smells, rain, or risk. The modern window screen is a humble miracle here. It allows air without insects. The modern fan is another. It creates wind without weather. The modern air conditioner goes even further. It edits the season. Before modern comfort, summer sleep often depended on the mercy of actual air. Imagine lying awake in a hot room. The bedding is too much, then too little. Sweat changes the feeling of cloth. The air does not move. The room smells stronger at night. Outside sounds carry through an opening because you need the opening. You cannot seal yourself away from the world and still breathe comfortably. This is why old sleep was seasonal in a way many modern people barely remember. Winter sleep and summer sleep were not the same activity. They required different tactics. Modern comfort smooths the year. Before modern comfort, the calendar came under the blanket. The 19th comfort was dealing with illness in the sleeping room. Modern illness has its own spaces. Hospitals, clinics, isolation rooms, pharmacies, bathrooms, washable bedding, thermometers, antibiotics when appropriate, painkillers, disinfectants, laundry machines, trash bags. Before modern medicine and sanitation, illness often remained inside the household. The bed could become a sickbed for long periods. Family, servants, neighbors, healers, priests, or local practitioners might come and go. The sleeping room became a care room, fear room, prayer room, smell room, and sometimes death room. Modern people tend to separate sleep from sickness when they can. The bedroom is supposed to restore. Illness interrupts that purpose. In older households, the bed was one of the few places where the body could fail. Childbirth, fever, injury, old age, plague, ordinary infections, tooth pain, coughs, wounds, and exhaustion all entered the same domestic world as sleep. This shaped how people understood night. Night was when fevers felt worse. Night was when breathing could be listened to. Night was when the sick called out. Night was when a caretaker fought sleep. Night was when fear became religious or superstitious because darkness made uncertainty larger. Imagine a household where one person is ill in the bed. Others sleep lightly nearby. A candle or lamp is saved for necessary moments. Water is close. Cloth is close. The chamber pot is close. The door is not closed in the modern sense because care requires hearing. The bed is no longer private comfort. It is the center of the household's anxiety. Before modern comfort, illness made sleep communal again. The 20th comfort was trusting the roof. A sleeper is helpless under a roof. Modern roofs are inspected, engineered, insured, repaired, drained, guttered, and built with standardized materials. They still leak, of course. But when a modern ceiling drips, we consider it a failure. Before modern comfort, keeping weather out was constant labor. Thatch, tile, timber, stone, plaster, wattle and daub, shingles, reeds, and local materials all required knowledge and maintenance. Roofs could leak. Wind could find weaknesses. Snow could load the structure. Rain could turn bedding, floors, and stored goods into trouble. The sleeping body depends on the building more completely than the waking body. During the day, you can move away from a drip. At night, a leak enters your dreams. It changes where bedding can be placed. It wakes children. It spoils straw. It dampens clothing. It makes insects and mold more likely. It reminds everyone that shelter is never final. Imagine hearing rain on a thatched or tiled roof. Sometimes it is comforting. Sometimes it is inspection. Is that a normal sound? Is water coming through? Will the patched place hold? Will the wind lift something? Will the morning bring repair? Modern people enjoy rain sounds because the roof is usually trusted. Before modern comfort, rain on the roof was also a question. The 21st comfort was not sleeping where you worked. Modern life separates labor and rest imperfectly, but powerfully. A bedroom is not supposed to be a workshop. The laptop may have invaded it. The phone may keep work alive beside the pillow. But the expectation remains that work should leave the bed alone. Before modern comfort, work and sleep often shared space. Apprentices could sleep near a shop or master's household. Servants slept near service. Farm families slept near tools, stores, animals, and seasonal tasks. Craft workers might live above or behind the place of work. Domestic production did not clock out and vanish. This shaped sleep deeply. If your work is in the room, your unfinished work sleeps beside you. The loom, the tools, the sacks, the account, the dough, the animals, the fire, the master's bell, the infant, the sick person, the goods to be guarded. Modern burnout has digital forms. Older exhaustion had physical forms. You could see the labor waiting for morning. Sometimes you could smell it. Imagine an apprentice lying near a workshop. The bench is dark. The tools are quiet. The day's mistakes still exist in the material. The master's household is above, beside, or around him. Sleep is allowed, but not fully separate. He belongs to a training system, a labor system, a household system. His bed is part of that system. Before modern comfort, rest often happened inside the workplace's shadow. The 22nd comfort was the inn that promised at least something. Travel makes sleep difficult even now. Hotels solve this with brands, reviews, locks, private bathrooms, clean sheets, fire codes, online booking, and standardized expectations. You can arrive in a city where no one knows you and still buy a predictable room. That is a deep modern comfort. Older travelers faced more uncertainty. Inns, taverns, monasteries, hostels, private hospitality, barns, roadside shelters, ships, and open ground all formed the landscape of travel sleep depending on place, period, money, status, and route. The inn was important because it offered an answer to a simple fear. Where will I lie down tonight? But the answer might be rough. Shared rooms. Shared beds. Animals nearby. Noise. Theft worries. Food of uncertain quality. Bedding used by many bodies. No private bathroom. No guaranteed quiet. No guarantee that a stranger's idea of cleanliness matched yours. Still, a roof, a fire, and a place among other humans could be vastly better than the road. The old travel bed was less about comfort and more about not being outside. Imagine arriving after dark. The body aches from walking or riding. Feet are damp. Clothes carry road dust. The inn is noisy, smoky, and perhaps suspicious. But there is light. There is food. There is a place where people expect travelers to exist. That expectation is comfort. Modern hotels have polished the old promise until it becomes almost invisible. The room is ready. The bed is yours. The door locks. Checkout is at 11. Before modern comfort, the promise was smaller. You may sleep here tonight. The 23rd comfort was sleeping under rule. Not all sleep in the past was domestic. Monasteries, hospitals, ships, barracks, schools, workhouses in later periods, and other institutions shaped sleep with rules. The monastery is especially useful because it reminds us that sleep has not always been treated as purely personal recovery. In many religious communities, sleep was organized around prayer, discipline, and spiritual rhythm. Night could be interrupted for offices. Waking in darkness could be holy work. The bed, cell, dormitory, or sleeping place belonged to a larger order. This is very different from the modern idea that good sleep is uninterrupted sleep for personal health. For monks or nuns, depending on rule and period, the night could be divided by obligation. To wake was not always failure. It could be obedience. Modern life still has institutional sleep. Hospitals wake patients for checks. Firefighters sleep ready to rise. Soldiers sleep under orders. New parents sleep under the rule of an infant. Factory workers sleep around shifts. Airline crews sleep under schedules. Religious communities still keep night prayer in some forms. Before modern comfort, many people did not own the night in the way we imagine. Their sleep was shaped by bells, duties, vows, employers, masters, animals, children, and the demands of dawn. Imagine a dormitory where many bodies lie in darkness. A bell sounds. It is not an alarm chosen by one person. It is a rule given voice. The sleepers rise because the night belongs to the order, not only to the body. This is a reminder that comfort is cultural. Modern sleep advice says protect your rest. Older institutions sometimes said interrupt your rest for something higher, necessary, or commanded. The 24th comfort was accepting broken sleep. This part needs care. You may have heard the claim that before modern lighting, everyone slept in two blocks, a first sleep and a second sleep, with a waking period in the middle. There is historical evidence that people in parts of pre-industrial Europe referred to first and second sleep, and historians have argued that segmented sleep was once common. There is also debate about how universal, regular, and neatly divided that pattern really was. So the safe way to say it is this. Pre-modern sleep was often more flexible, more seasonal, and more interruptible than the modern ideal of one clean, private, 8-hour block. That alone changes everything. Modern culture treats waking in the middle of the night as a problem. Insomnia, stress, bad sleep hygiene, blue light, caffeine, anxiety. But in a world with long winter darkness, limited artificial light, shared rooms, night duties, religious practices, animals, fires, infants, illness, and different work rhythms, waking at night did not always mean the same thing. People might pray, talk quietly, check the fire, use the pot, tend a child, think about dreams, rise for work, lie still until sleep returned, fear something outside. Listen. Modern comfort has narrowed our idea of successful sleep. The perfect sleeper goes down, disappears, and returns in the morning refreshed. The old sleeper may have expected more negotiation. Imagine waking in the dark with no clock. You do not know the minute. You know the season, the quality of darkness, the fire, the sounds, perhaps the bell if one has sounded, perhaps the body beside you. The night is not a straight line. It is a landscape. You pass through it in stages. Before modern comfort, broken sleep could be trouble, but it could also be normal life. The 25th comfort was sleeping without fear of moral judgment. This one is subtle. Modern people often treat sleep as health. Too little sleep damages you. Good sleep improves you. Track your sleep. Optimize your sleep. Protect your circadian rhythm. The language is medical, psychological, and productive. Older cultures also cared about sleep, but they often framed it through morality, religion, discipline, social rank, and bodily theory. Too much sleep could be laziness. Sleeping at the wrong time could suggest disorder. Dreams could be meaningful, dangerous, divine, foolish, or bodily. Night could be associated with prayer, temptation, fear, healing, vulnerability, or supernatural concern. The sleeper was not simply resting. The sleeper was a moral person with duties. This is not gone. Modern culture still judges sleep. The person who wakes at 5 is disciplined. The person who sleeps late is lazy, unless they work nights. The person who naps is either wise or weak depending on the workplace. The person who needs 9 hours is indulgent, or healthy depending on the article. The old world judged sleep differently, but it judged. Before modern comfort, sleep was tied to the soul as much as the body. Prayers before bed, charms, blessings, fear of dreams, care over nighttime thoughts, and anxiety about dying in sleep all show that bedtime could be spiritually charged. Imagine a person lying down after saying a prayer. The room is dark. The body is tired. The world is full of dangers that medicine cannot explain and law cannot fully prevent. To sleep is to leave consciousness. That is a serious act. Modern comfort makes sleep feel safe enough to become lifestyle. Before modern comfort, sleep could feel like surrender. The 26th comfort was the pillow. A pillow is one of those objects that becomes dramatic only when it is wrong. Too high. Too flat. Too hot. Too hard. Too soft. Modern pillows are engineered around preference. Foam, feathers, down, wool, cotton, buckwheat, cooling gel, orthopedic shapes, hotel stacks. Before modern comfort, head support varied widely. A folded garment, a roll, a bolster, a stuffed cushion, a wooden or ceramic headrest in other cultures, a feather pillow for those with means, or nothing much at all. The pillow is small, but it tells us something large. Comfort is anatomical. The body does not only need somewhere to lie. It needs angles. Neck, shoulder, hip, knee, spine, jaw, breath. Modern sleep products are obsessed with these details because industrial comfort can afford to specialize. Older comfort was often more general. Use what exists. Fold what can be folded. Stuff what can be stuffed. Adjust the body to the object. Imagine sleeping after hard labor with a rough support under the head. You may sleep because exhaustion wins. But the morning body tells the truth. A stiff neck. A numb arm. A sore shoulder. A jaw clenched by cold. Modern comfort wants the morning body to forget the night. Before modern comfort, the morning body often remembered the bed very clearly. The 27th comfort was the blanket as portable home. A blanket is not only bedding. It is portable shelter. In older worlds, cloaks, mantles, wraps, furs, and blankets could move between waking and sleeping life. The same textile might warm the body by day and cover it by night. For travelers, soldiers, shepherds, laborers, pilgrims, and poor people, portable warmth mattered deeply. Modern people separate categories. Coat for outside. Blanket for bed. Sleeping bag for camping. Throw blanket for couch. Emergency blanket for disaster. Older material life could be less specialized because possessions were fewer and textiles more valuable. A good woolen cloak could be clothing, bedding, status, protection, and storage of wealth all at once. This changes sleep. If your blanket travels with you, your sleep travels with you. You carry a piece of night defense on your back. Imagine a traveler lying down in a barn, an inn corner, a roadside shelter, or under a lean-to. The cloak is pulled tight. It smells of road, animal, smoke, rain, and the body. It is not clean in the modern sense. But it is known. It belongs to the sleeper. In an uncertain place, that familiarity is comfort. Modern travel sleep tries to create the same thing through branded predictability. The hotel bed should feel like other hotel beds. The airline blanket should be wrapped. The camping sleeping bag should have a rating. Before modern comfort, the portable textile carried more of the burden. The rule was simple. If the world cannot promise you a bed, carry part of the bed with you. The 28th comfort was trusting the floor. We think about mattresses more than floors, but the floor matters. A modern floor is usually dry, level, sealed, cleaned, and separated from soil. Even when it is cheap, it belongs to a system of construction. Older floors varied enormously. Packed earth, stone, timber, rushes, tiles, boards, plastered surfaces, upper floors, lofts, and improvised coverings all created different sleeping conditions. Floor coverings such as rushes or straw could make a space more comfortable, but they also required changing and cleaning. A dirty floor does not stay politely below the bed. Dust rises. Damp spreads. Insects climb. Smell enters textiles. The old sleeper was closer to the floor even when raised above it. Modern people may vacuum a bedroom and complain about dust. Older households had to manage floors as living surfaces in a harsher material world. Imagine a hall floor after a long day of eating, work, traffic, animals nearby, spilled drink, tracked mud, and smoke settling downward. Now imagine sleeping near that same surface. The difference between a raised bed, a pallet, and bare floor becomes enormous. The floor is not background. It is part of the sleep system. Modern comfort hides this with sealed surfaces and regular cleaning. Before modern comfort, the floor was always trying to rejoin the earth. The 29th comfort was having a bed that did not need to be dismantled. In modern life, a bed usually stays a bed all day. It occupies space even when not in use. This is a luxury of space. In smaller homes, older houses, ships, camps, and crowded households, sleeping arrangements often had to be temporary. Pallets rolled away. Truckle beds slid under larger beds. Benches became sleeping places. Straw was spread and gathered. Hammocks, bunks, and portable bedding solved space in other settings. The temporary bed tells us that sleep often borrowed space from the day. The room could not afford to be only a bedroom. At night it converted. In the morning, it returned to work. Modern studio apartments, sleeper sofas, fold-away beds, and dorm rooms still know this logic. But modern culture treats it as compromise. The ideal remains a dedicated bedroom. Before modern comfort, conversion was normal for many. Imagine a household at bedtime. Furniture shifts. Bedding appears from storage. Children are placed. A servant pulls out a lower bed. Someone spreads straw. Someone finds a blanket. The room changes identity in the dark. By morning, sleep must disappear so the day can use the space again. This is one of the most intimate differences between old and modern comfort. Modern sleep leaves furniture behind as evidence of itself. Old sleep often had to clean up after itself. The 30th comfort was believing morning would restore order. The old night was full of small risks. Cold. Heat. Bites. Smoke. Thieves. Illness. Fire. Bad dreams. Noises. Animals. Weather. Shared bodies. Dirty bedding. The need to rise before dawn. The need to work before rested. And still, people slept. This is important. We should not imagine our ancestors as permanently sleepless victims. Human beings are astonishingly adaptable. They learn to sleep in noise. They learn to sleep on hard surfaces. They learn to wake and return to sleep. They learn the sounds of danger and the sounds of ordinary life. They learn how to tuck fabric, bank a fire, share warmth, ignore discomfort, and make peace with imperfection. Modern comfort sometimes makes us less tolerant of imperfect sleep. A small noise becomes intolerable because silence is expected. A warm room becomes a crisis because cooling is expected. A lumpy pillow becomes unacceptable because choice is expected. This is not a moral failure. It is what comfort does. It raises the baseline. Before modern comfort, the baseline was lower, but people built meaning and routine around it. Bedtime could still be tender. A child tucked in. A prayer whispered. A couple talking in darkness. A servant grateful for a corner. A traveler relieved to be under a roof. A farmer warm at last after a wet day. A monk rising in the night with discipline. A sick person watched by someone who refuses to sleep. The old world had discomfort, but it also had human care. That is why this subject matters. Sleep reveals not only technology, but affection. Who gets the warm place? Who gets the extra blanket? Who wakes for the baby? Who checks the fire? Who gives up the bed for a guest? Who lies near the door? Who sleeps alone because status protects them? Who sleeps alone because no one protects them? The bed is never just furniture. It is a map of care. The 31st comfort was not needing to fear the bed itself. We trust beds so deeply now that the word bed means safety. Go to bed. Rest in bed. Bedtime. Bedroom. Bedside. The bed is supposed to be the opposite of danger. But older beds could carry danger in small forms. Fire from warming pans or candles. Insects in straw or textiles. Damp. Collapse of bad frames. Shared illness. Dirty bedding. Cold that settled into the body. Curtains that trap stale air if used badly. Servants or strangers nearby. A sleeping place too near smoke, animals, or the door. This does not mean every old bed was awful. Some were treasured and comfortable. But the bed required more trust work than ours usually does. Modern safety standards, materials, pest control, laundry, heating, and private rooms have made the bed feel innocent. Before modern comfort, the bed had to be negotiated like everything else. Imagine looking at a bed and knowing its history. Who slept there before? When was the straw changed? Are there fleas? Will the curtains keep warmth or trap smoke? Is the frame sound? Is it too close to a draft? Can the door be watched? Is the candle safely out? Modern sleepers ask different questions. Is the mattress firm enough? Is the pillow right? Is the phone charging? Did I set the alarm? That difference is the channel in one object. Before modern comfort, safety and softness were not guaranteed by purchase. They were achieved partly by attention. The 30-second comfort was the modern morning. We usually talk about sleep by talking about night, but morning may show the difference even more clearly. A modern morning can be unpleasant, but it is often supported. Alarm. Light. Bathroom. Toilet. Sink. Hot shower. Clean clothes. Coffee. Breakfast from a refrigerator. News. Transport schedule. Weather forecast. Before modern comfort, waking could mean entering work almost immediately. The fire needs attention. Animals need feeding. Water must be fetched. The pot must be emptied. Bedding must be aired or put away. Children must be handled. Tools must be found. Bread, ale, porridge, animals, fields, masters, bells, customers, and daylight all begin making claims. The bed did not always release a person into privacy. It released them into obligation. Imagine waking in a room where others are already moving. No one has made a quiet morning routine for you. The house is becoming a workplace again. The blanket that protected you must be folded. The pallet must be moved. The fire must be revived. The air smells of yesterday. The body is not fully restored, but the day has no interest in that. Modern comfort has extended the transition between sleep and work. A shower, a robe, a coffee, a commute, a podcast, a bathroom mirror, A quiet 10 minutes before messages. These small buffers are luxuries. Before modern comfort, morning often had sharper teeth. The 33rd comfort was making sleep measurable. This is very modern. We measure sleep now. Hours. Cycles. Deep sleep. REM sleep. Heart rate. Snoring. Steps. Readiness. Recovery. Scores. A device can tell you that you slept badly even if you thought you slept well. This can be useful. It can also make sleep anxious. Before modern comfort, people did not have this kind of measurement. They had other measures. Did you wake refreshed? Did you dream? Did you oversleep? Did you wake before dawn? Did the child sleep? Did the sick person breathe easily? Did the fire last? Did the rooster crow? Did the bell sound? Did the body ache? Did the household begin on time? Old sleep was measured by consequences. Modern sleep is measured by data. Both can comfort and disturb. The old sleeper might not know how many minutes he was awake in the night, but he knew whether his hands could work in the morning. The modern sleeper may know every stage and still feel tired. This is a strange reversal. Modern comfort gives us more control, but also more ways to judge ourselves. Before modern comfort, sleep was less optimized and more entangled with life. It did not need to be perfect in a chart. It needed to carry the body into another day. The 34th comfort was dreaming in a world that took dreams seriously. Dreams are private now, mostly. We may tell them at breakfast. We may search their meaning. We may ignore them. Science explains them through the brain, memory, emotion, and sleep stages. But older cultures often gave dreams more room in the moral, religious, and medical imagination. A dream could be a warning, a temptation, a message, a sign of bodily imbalance, a memory, a nonsense image, a spiritual problem. Not everyone believed the same thing, and educated writers often debated such matters. But dreams could matter more publicly than they often do now. This changes the feeling of waking. If a dream is only brain noise, you can dismiss it. If a dream might be meaningful, you carry it into the day. Before modern comfort, the night was not always sealed off from reality. It could leak meaning. Imagine waking after a vivid dream in a dark room. There is no phone to distract you immediately. No electric lamp flattening the atmosphere. No morning news. The dream remains close because the world is still dark and quiet. You may pray. You may tell someone. You may worry. You may remember it for years. Modern comfort often breaks dreams quickly. Alarm. Screen. Light. Bathroom. Coffee. Messages. The old waking mind sometimes had more darkness around it, and darkness gives dreams room. The 35th comfort was the idea that sleep could be improved. This may sound modern, but people in the past also tried to improve sleep. They used prayers, routines, herbs, warm beds, better bedding when possible, position, ventilation, diet advice, moral advice, charms in some contexts, medical theories, and household habits. The difference is not that modern people care about sleep and older people did not. The difference is the toolkit. Today, if sleep fails, a person may change caffeine, light exposure, mattress, pillow, medication, therapy, room temperature, noise, schedule, exercise, supplements, or screens. Before modern comfort, many of those levers did not exist. So improvement was more local and material. Air the bedding. Move away from the draft. Warm the sheets. Keep the fire safer. Hang cloth. Change straw. Say prayers. Avoid certain foods or behaviors when the advice of the time warned against them. Sleep closer to warmth. Sleep farther from smoke. Ask someone to wake you. Sleep where the roof holds. This is a humbler sleep science. Not less intelligent. Just built from different tools. Imagine someone turning a mattress, shaking straw, tightening bed ropes, mending a blanket, or closing a shutter before night. That is sleep improvement. No app. No chart. No subscription. Just hands trying to make unconsciousness safer. Before modern comfort, sleep was improved through maintenance. The 36th comfort was the fact that someone else now solves so much. This is the final hidden truth. Modern sleep feels private because the labor has moved away. Someone manufactured the mattress. Someone designed the heating system. Someone maintained the power grid. Someone treated the water. Someone made the sheets. Someone built the road that brought them. Someone wrote the fire code. Someone inspected the hotel. Someone created the alarm clock. Someone collected the trash. Someone sells medicine at night. Someone answers emergency calls. Someone launders bedding in hospitals and hotels. Someone works while you sleep. Before modern comfort, more of that labor stayed close to the household. The sleeper, family, servants, or neighbors had to manage more directly. Fire, water, waste, bedding, security, animals, light, warmth, cleanliness, morning duties. This does not mean modern people are lazy. It means comfort has been redistributed. The labor did not vanish. It became infrastructure, service work, manufacturing, maintenance, and invisible night shifts. That is why looking at old sleep is so useful. It reminds us that sleeping well is not just a personal achievement. It is a social achievement. A bed is never only a bed. It is agriculture, carpentry, textile work, trade, heating, cleaning, architecture, law, privacy, medicine, and family structure gathered under a blanket. So the next time you lie down tonight, notice the servants you cannot see. The sealed window. The quiet wall. The clean sheet. The raised mattress. The pillow that remembers your head. The bathroom nearby. The lock. The alarm. The controlled air. The darkness you choose. The absence of smoke. The absence of fleas. The absence of strangers in the same bed. The absence of animals breathing through the wall. The absence of a roof question. The absence of a fire that must be guarded. Modern sleep is full of absences. That may be its greatest luxury. So many old discomforts have been removed so completely that the room feels empty. But the emptiness is not natural. It was built. Before modern comfort, sleep was a practical problem solved every night. With cloth. With straw. With fire. With walls. With prayer. With closeness. With listening. With habit. With endurance. And with the quiet hope that the bed, whatever it was, would carry the body safely to morning. That hope is still there. It is just softer now. Covered in cotton. Lit by a phone. Protected by pipes. Timed by an alarm. And waiting, as always, for the dark to become ordinary enough that the body can let go.